Hi there, and welcome along to On the Whistle. It's great to be firing up the bride today. I'm your host, Nabbi, and in this show, well, let me tell you, we're joined by a very special guest, a man who looks after some of football's biggest stars in both the United States and the Middle East, a man who is responsible for organizing luxury holidays. Yes, that is a job for the likes of Adnan Januzai, Weston McKennie, and Tyrone Mings. Welcome to the show, Yohanes Zewdu, also known as Johnny Vegas. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, Zayn. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and speaking with you. And definitely here in Manchester, looking at this beautiful sky right now.
Manchester and beautiful sky. Come on, come on.
I'm an American with a humor, right? So yeah.
well, listen, Johnny, we're going to talk about your backstory and we're going to talk a little bit about what you do currently. But I have to start off with your Instagram feed. I mean, it is the stuff of dreams. Could you describe in 60 seconds what you do?
You know what? Like what I do and what my company Kloudout does is that we engineer and structure pretty much the lifestyle of these wealthy, high-end celebrities and athletes, so on and so forth. So we pretty much take the stress away from them, and we're like a one-stop shop. So we organizing everything for them so they don't have to stress, because these people, for example, athletes, they work hard throughout the year, you know, and they have a short time of vacation or, you know, time to spend with the, like, you know, with their friends or family. So they don't have the time to sit down and Google where to go, what to do, how to book this and that, because that takes time, that consumes like, you know, time pretty much, you know. So what we do is like, we take that stress away from them. We organize everything from them. All they have to do is show up at the place that they're like, you know, they're supposed to be. So we are just a one-stop shop that, like, you know, take the stress away from all these people that are very busy in this world.
You obviously mix with these high flyers, you organize everything for them, and we're going to get into some of those anecdotes in a minute. But I'm interested. I mean, for our audience out there, you've got quite humble beginnings. Where did you grow up? How did life start for Johnny Vegas?
Yeah, you know what? Like, people don't understand and don't see, because people only, it's perception, isn't it? People judge you from what they see on your social feeds or what they hear, or they see you with stars or so on and so forth, you know, but they don't really see what's the real story of this individual, you know. And if you really get into and put a microscope on my life, you know, it's absolutely different. And I grew up in, you know, I was born in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, the capital, and a small neighborhood, you know, and it's called Kazanchis. And like, I grew up in a house of like, you know, it's like a closet pretty much. And spent, like, you know, I have my sisters there, I have my grandmother, my mom, we all share, like, I don't even know how, like, looking back, like, you know, in retrospect, it's like, it amazes me how we survived this, you know. And grew up on the street bare feet, you know, and running around as a kid. Just my dad, I didn't know my dad until late, because my dad was living in Russia. He was a student there for a long time. And so unfortunately he wasn't around, but my mom was, she's a hustler pretty much on the street, because she sell goods what comes from outside, like, you know, these pilots or flight attendants, they bring goods from out there, and then she takes that and she sells for them door to door, you know. And, you know, that's the way we kind of, sometimes you have food to eat, sometimes you don't, you know. But, like, you know, that's the reason why my mom's like my hero, you know. I grew up like following her, like, you know, a scarf, you know, just holding on her scarf, following her on the street, you know. And so coming to this age now and looking back, you know, it just, you know, it kind of gives you that feeling of, like, you know, you don't want to give up, you want to keep going, you know. And so this is what inspires me, this is what makes me keep pushing and, like, you know, going. I mean, the industry that I work in is a very cutthroat industry, and it's like every industry, isn't it? So, and but, like, you know, my background and where I come from, like, you know, that gives me that inspiration, you know, that gives me that hope. And that gives me, because I'm always thankful and grateful for the smallest thing that I get and I receive. And because I never had it, you know, and I never had someone never really give it to me. I earned this, you know. So, and that's the reason why, I mean, I have the opportunity today to speak to you today, is because of that.
And it's an absolute privilege to have you here around our braai. Not sure if you've ever been to a braai before, Johnny, but it's a South African feast. We put steak, we
I like
put we put
that.
heaps of beef, we put
Yeah,
chicken for the vegetarians, and we just eat and we talk. And
yeah,
I'm listening to your story of such humble roots. And I grew up in South Africa. I grew up in a similar way with extended community, with the concept of it's not, it's a village that raises a child.
yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
I'm interested, where you were growing up. You spoke about your grandmom, you spoke about your mom, and some of your extended family. But you know, what were some of the lessons about community and family you would have learned, even though you didn't have a lot? What were some of the things that
Man,
maybe shaped you growing up?
absolutely. I mean, isn't it like this is why Africa is so beautiful?
Hmm.
Is like when you grow up and like you said, the village raises you, no matter if your family there or
Mm.
not, because everybody acts as your family. I can go to my neighbor and I can sit down and eat with them. I can go to sleep in their beds. They see you as you're one of them. They don't see you as you're just a neighbor. They see you as you're one of them, and that's so beautiful about the community that I come from. And because of that, I grew up in an environment where I was able to have this like you know this discipline, a love, and understanding, and that's why I kind of reflect that into my business today. I reflect that into my life today. Is that humbleness that you show people, and it doesn't have to be serious always. Is there's like at the end of the day we're human. So and we you have to show love. And that's what brought me I brought that culture to the new culture that adopted to. So, and yeah, I mean, it's grow up in Africa is one of the most gift I can ever had.
Now, we're African. We know that football is the biggest sport in the continent. We know that our players are some of our best ambassadors to the world because they can show the beauty of
Yeah.
the beautiful game.
Yes.
Uh, whether it's George Weah, whether it's Didier Drogba, whether it's um, a host of players like one of my favorites, Samuel Eto'o,
Yeah.
who went and conquered the world. And I guess my question to you, not in too much of a convoluted way, is how did you come to football? How did you gravitate towards the sport?
Yes. Great question. I mean, like I was actually, like you said, in Africa, football is such a big deal, especially where I come from. And I remember actually as a child, we love playing football. That's all we do on the street. And you grow up on the street, that's all you do is like kick around. Unfortunately, we cannot afford an actual football. So we had
What
to.
did you play with?
Exactly. So we had to, improvise. So what we did was we and what I come from, I don't know, I can't speak for the whole Africa, but what I come from in Ethiopia, we get milk. When we get milk, we don't get it in a bottle, we get it in a plastic bag. So what we do is like, we find those plastic bags and then we put like socks and paper and everything. You just put like dump everything in it, mold it as like a soccer ball. And then that's it. You just throw it on the street and play as a soccer ball. And so I grew up loving soccer since when I was a child. And then when I came to America, I had the opportunity to play in middle school, play high school, and as well as, and almost in college as well. And unfortunately, I had several knee, like a medial lateral meniscus tear on my left knee. So I wasn't able to continue with that hope and that career and that dream that I had. So I went into I went to college, became an aviation technology, pilot, and I didn't really love that. So I jumped into the casino business. That Vegas is all about casino, isn't it? So I jumped in it, became a valet. By working there, I literally see all these superstars. I'm talking about like Mayweather, I'm talking about like Michael Jordan, Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm talking about like, I mean, you name it. They're just passing by me, you know, they're
Like,
just
are
like,
you like the king of the humble brag or what?
like, I'm just saying, like, imagine a kid from Africa just, you know, experiencing this. Like, this is unreal. Like, you know, you just stand there, like, I have a smile ear to ear, you know, and like, it's just like, for me, I'm so grateful. Like, wow, I'm here. Like, I'm actually experiencing this, you know. So, and then, you know, like, fortunately, I mean, you know, God bless, I met some French guy who was just accidentally was on the phone speaking French, and I just like, hey, bonjour, you know, and he said bonjour, and then he started speaking French to me. I was like, hey man, bro, listen, I only know bonjour, so I can't really reply to the rest. And then he's like, it's okay. And I told him, I said, you know who's my favorite player is? You know, he said, who? I was like, Frank Ribery. He's like, oh my God, bro, that's my brother. Look at this. Like, he started showing me on his phone, like, you know, exactly like, you know, that they're very like connected.
That is ridiculous, by the way. Like how like chance and life work.
Exactly. So, you know, kind of continues from there. And then, you know, I honestly, like, I was just being nice to the guy. And I told him, I said, man, listen, you know, it was good to meet you, whatever, here's your car, you know. And he's like, you know what? He's like, bro, when I come back to Las Vegas, I'll bring you a signed shirt and shorts from Frank Ribery. I was like, yeah, okay. You know, in Vegas, you know, you think people just talk, blah, blah. But like a year later, I moved from Cosmopolitan to the Aria Hotel, which is a new hotel. I opened it, and then right next door, and this guy came with a small bag looking for me in Las Vegas. Literally, where is this small black kid? Where is he? You know, so like he's looking for me, and then finally,
Wow.
like, finally he found me, and then I was right there. That moment shaped something in my life, you know, that one moment. And that showed me actually people, like there's people that keeps their words, you know, people that actually mean what they say. And that's when I became like that as well, because it gives me that type of character, you know. So, and I told him, I say, wow, this is unreal, you know. I still have the shirt, I'm still friend with the guy. And he said, you know what, like I told him, I said, since that day, I said, whatever that you need in Las Vegas, I got you. And I think 2 weeks later or so, or like a couple of months later, he sent me his friend, which is another guy, you know, another French guy. So they stayed, I think, 2-3 nights. And then I went ahead and I paid the hotel for them, but he didn't know. I told him it's coming.
Wow. What?
So out of my pocket.
How generous.
Yeah. So like, you know, and then the guy realized that like, oh, he doesn't have to pay for the hotel. He was shocked, and he's like, oh no, it's taken care of. So he was just so happy. And then he told the guy, he's like, are you crazy? You know what? Like, how can you do this? You're amazing. You know what? He's like, give me some time. I have a surprise for you. Now, another turning point in my life is coming right now. And this right here, I said, okay, sure, no problem. So I remember like a couple of months later, I was sitting in the house with my mom. So, you know how Ethiopian, like how we drink coffee, you know.
I do. It's the
yeah,
glass cups.
little, like,
Yes, and then
yeah.
and you do the cubes of sugar, right?
Yeah, that they call like the little cine, you know, they just sit
Yes.
around, they just do this. So my mom had nobody, so she only had me. So I sit with her and I had to drink coffee with her. Hey, by force, by the way, yeah. So I just want to put that in there. So and imagine, and I have to watch Oprah at the same time, like, you know. So my mom
Living
like,
the dream, Johnny. Living
yeah,
the dream.
so like, you know, so I'm just sitting there on my phone watching Oprah, talking to my mom. All of a sudden, I get this phone call, unknown number. I never pick up unknown number because normally it's advertisement and things like that. My mom is like, for some reason, my mom was so persistent. She's like, pick up the phone, you know. I was like, you know, me and her just went back and forth for a few seconds, like, no, yes, no, yes. So, and then finally, you know what, you have to listen to your mom, right? So I picked up the phone and then I get a guy said, hey bro, how are you? My name is Nasri. I got your number from so-and-so. I'm coming to Vegas with a friend. Can you look after me? I'm like, yeah, sure, man. No problem. I got you. Don't worry about it. But it didn't hit me, you know? So, and I said, what do you need? What do you want? You know? And then, you know, he said, yeah, I just wanted to send you this much money. I want to come, but I don't want to do anything else. Like, I want everything to be sorted for me. imagine, I don't know how to do that. I'm just a valet guy. Like, you know, I'm doing this as a favor for this guy because this guy
Sure.
was so nice to me, you know? So I'm just like being, you know, just generous, you know? So, and then I say, yeah. And then, yeah, but he's like, hey man, do you know who I am? I said, yeah, you're Nasri. He's like, yeah, but do you know who I am? I was like, yeah, you're Nasri. And then he said, yeah, like Samir Nasri. I'm like, the Samir Nasri? He's like,
Oh.
and imagine I went like pale, like a ghost, like I'm talking about Casper ghost, you know? and I remember my mom is looking at me, and like I remember my body was shaking, you know. My mom thought I was going into a stroke. I don't know, man. I'm too young for that, you know. So and I remember she was saying like wee, you know how like they do it. Like she's like, what's wrong with you? You know, she got scared, and I had to close my mom's mouth like this. While I'm like, yeah, bro, okay, yeah, no, I understand who you
I
are.
got
No
you.
problem.
I
You know,
got
like
you.
I'm trying to be cool, you know, like not overwhelm the situation. So and and so next thing you know, that's it. That was it for me. Like I was, as soon as I hung up the phone, I remember sprinting to my car, driving to the hotel. And this is the greatest thing about it, is like the hotel I work with is like, we have concierge, 5-star concierge, you know, who will help me to organize this. Through that, I learned a lot of things. You know?
Which hotel were you at this stage?
At this stage, I was at the Cosmopolitan. I left Aria, and then I opened the Cosmopolitan Hotel. It's the new one, you know.
It's
So
got the big
there,
shoe.
yes, the high heels, you know, they have like
Yeah.
stilettos
I've
and
been.
stuff. I opened that hotel. I was there when it was best, you
Ah,
know. And so but there I was not a valet.
okay.
I was a front desk agent, you know.
Okay.
So as a front desk agent, as I had opportunity, access to the concierge side of it, you know? So the people, the management, everybody was very helpful. I was able to put him into a penthouse, like help him around, see whatever he wants to do, you know. I was working with like great colleagues in the Cosmopolitan. I mean, they were just like, you know, like I literally, when it comes to the concierge side of it, Cosmopolitan brought me here, you know, because they trained me well with like, you know, 5-star like training companies like, you know, AAA, Forbes, and all these companies come always to train us, you know. So I took the idea and the ideology from that, and that's why I apply it to my brand right now. So, but yeah, that's the story, and that's how it started, and that was my first client.
It's pretty insane, and like, you know, your story is so interesting. I hope you
Yeah,
don't mind if I rewind just for 1
yeah,
second,
no
Johnny.
problem. Yeah.
How did you get to the United States? Because obviously you grew up in Ethiopia, and what was
Yeah.
your path to going? Because a lot of people on the continent will be going, "You're living the dream now," but how did you even get that opportunity?
You know what, man, God loves me. That's what it is. So
Amen, amen.
so the thing is like, you know, to be honest with you, like we have nothing, right? Like how can a poor kid from a street like come to like one of the most wealthiest country, you know? And that is because of, this is where my dad comes in, right? So I haven't seen my dad for a while, but when I was like, you know, when I was 8, 9 years old, my dad just came to the Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and you know, like he went to college, university in Russia, like I think it's in Moscow, and he was a chemical engineer, you know. So, and what he did was, America gives Ethiopia like a lottery. It's called DV, you know. So they give a
Green
chance.
card lottery.
Yeah, so exactly. So they gave a chance. So my dad filled it out, and like we were lucky, we won the lottery. So and he could take a child with him. So it was me, and so I came along with them. And I was young, like I was really like 9, 10 years old at the time when I arrived in Las Vegas. I went to elementary school there. I didn't understand a word of English. I only know dog and hi. That's like I knew, that's it. Like, you know,
Wow.
imagine being in elementary school, like you're just like, you know, just but the only thing that was good for me was like I was athletic, you know. So,
Ah.
and I was good at math. So those are the two things that kind of like got me into these popular crowds, you know. So like And so, and then middle school came, and I start understand. I watched a lot of Disney Channel, to be honest with you. Thank you, Disney. So,
You know what? We're not here endorsing Disney Plus, but how do you
yeah.
help many kids around the world learn English when they're new or language when they move into a country?
Honestly, I mean, the reason why I speak English today is because Disney. I watched a lot of Disney Channel when I was growing up, and I listened to a lot of radio. We had a radio station in Las Vegas called 98.5 KLES, and they play this music of like, certain music like Backstreet Boys, and at the time it was like that, Oh man, remember, I know every word. Yeah, exactly. I know every word because that's all I listen to, so until today. I think that's gonna be my wedding song one day. So but
no, I mean that's super interesting. Green Card Lottery won. You've taken your opportunity, and we're part of the African diaspora, both you and I, Johnny, and I think it's important we share these stories, right? So people can look at different ways of moving. And also the story of the immigrant is not an easy story. There's language, there's culture. There's so many things that you have to overcome. Outside of language, what do you think was one of the more challenging things you had to overcome when you moved to Vegas? Because that's a completely different culture to Addis. Let's just be straight up.
I mean, imagine this. You grew up on a street without no guidance, in the sense of like, you can do whatever you want. You can wake up, you do whatever you think you do, Now you come to an area that's very like composed, What I mean by composed is that like, you can't just be out on the street, I mean, you can go out in the park, play with your friends, or you have like, things like that. But there is no street that you can wander around. It's not Africa, Africa's different. So when I was there, I really missed home. I felt homesick because I had no friend. I didn't understand nobody. I only around with my mom and my dad, and they're so busy trying to find a job. So they're not there. So like, my auntie was our sponsor at the time. So she's not there. So I'm home alone, And so like, I had this really like bad feeling until I start playing like soccer, and it's to be honest with you, that was my way out of like this mental down at that moment, as a child. So and struggle for me was like, even when I was playing soccer, the kids were great, like, but they cannot pronounce my name. That was the craziest thing. I remember, I think one guy called me Pocahontas. I think.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
I laugh about it, like, but the thing about it though, like, I didn't understand what Pocahontas was, until like I watched Disney. I was like, oh, you called me a girl, man. So like, like
I'm not giving you the ball.
Like, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a sliding tackle coming soon.
I'm there.
So that was, that was it. Like, to be honest with you, like there was struggle, but like, it's a good thing. Like, it happened when I was a kid, because you can overcome those things easily. As a kid, you can pass through a lot of things, As an adult, you dwell on things, but as a kid, you can, pass through, So, and I learned fast. I was really learning fast, So, and middle school was great for me, and then high school was fantastic, And then, it was good, man. Like, America gave me such an amazing opportunity, which I'm so blessed of and thankful and grateful of, because I have friends back in Ethiopia right now who don't have this opportunity, And this is the reason why I think I am so striving so hard to be where I want to be, so I can go back and give something that show people that, like, what, we can give you this opportunity as well. And that's something that I really want to do in the future, and inspire people. Maybe I'm not able to give them millions of dollars, but I can inspire them with my story, and that's 100%. The biggest thing to do, 100%. And anything is possible. Just believe, and just don't give up hope,
But by telling your story, and you've got a very successful story, and being proud of where you're from, you're giving such great promotion to the country, to the continent, and to who you are. And I just, want to say that. And this is what we do on this podcast, right? If you ever want to get in touch with us on social media, OTW_podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, it's On the Whistle Podcast, same on YouTube, is we're here to inspire. We're here to celebrate our heroes, whether they're on the field and off the field.
Yeah.
And you are one of those guys, Johnny, and that's why it's a privilege to be here.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I mean, your backstory is fascinating. I'm so glad we've taken the time to tell that. But a lot of our listeners are going to be out there going, okay, spill the beans. Who do you look after? Who have you organized these holidays for? Samir Nasri is great. And maybe you can give some insight on this, actually. Sorry to make this a really long question, but I remember speaking to Brad Friedel, the former American goalkeeper, years ago, when he was at Aston Villa, and he was telling me a lot of Premier League players will travel, even on game weekends, to Vegas for 48 hours or 76 hours. They will fly on a Saturday after a game, get to Vegas late on a Saturday night, let their hair down, sort of rehab on the Sunday, and then come back on the Monday. I mean, is this a common thing with Premier League and European football players coming over?
No, to be honest with you, listen, these guys work really hard, I can't speak in the Brad Friedel's sentences.
Sure.
These guys work really hard, and when they get the opportunity, definitely they go near area to kind of disconnect, and just kind of mentally kind of relax, And for us, they use, this is where people like me or people like Kloudout, like the brand, comes in, and we're able to make that happen for them quickly. So, they don't have to worry about, yes, today you have the self, the phone is on the palm of your hand. You can just click and do this. But there's a complication behind it as well, because you cannot just book something, expect it to be there, unless you have somebody there that's actually making it happen. When you arrive, it's ready for you, ready to go, So for these type of people, they need people like us, to make sure that, because they have a quick trip and they can afford it because they make money for this stuff, So, but yeah, I mean, just kind of moving from that side of it is we looked after many people in the past and the future, now as well as in the future. We had people like, what's his name? Oxlade-Chamberlain, who plays for Liverpool right now. We looked after Curtis Jones. We look after Nico Williams. These are Liverpool boys. We look after Arsenal guys, for example, Rob Holding. We had people like Mesut that we came to Vegas. We looked after. We looked after what's the name? Callum Chambers, and we looked after many stars like Lacazette. We look after the Barcelona defender as well. All these guys, there's so many names I can name for you who we have looked after,
Wow.
And,
I mean, this is like an all-star list.
Yeah, we continue to look after, but you also have to understand, these stars, they don't always come back to us, because of they go certain places, a lot of places, different places. There are people like me who also look after them as well in those destinations, And so you also have to respect that. When if you're in the same destination, but they've been there before and they have someone else, you have to respect that person look after them, So, that's why I kind of branched out, Kloudout into different areas. For example, we started in Las Vegas, we moved to Los Angeles, then Miami. That's our North American destinations, and then we went to Europe. So we went to Ibiza, Marbella, Mykonos, Santorini. That's our European destination. And then now we're in the Middle East, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, now heading to Qatar. So we're putting a little ping on the map, to show these people, what, we want you to stay in this community and to stay with us, and we'll take care of you wherever you go, because we're there on the ground to look after you, So you're not, it's since we are a one-stop shop, but we don't expect them to come back to us every city and everywhere, because that's unfair, because then they know people that's also taking care of them. But we put our flag there to show them we're there just in case if they need us. And then if new ones come and want to use us, then they can use it. So, but it works, to be honest with you. It works, because now we are in Dubai. We've been there for 2 years, and we're seeing a raise in the number of the guys that's coming to us. New clients, new athletes, new celebrities coming through, understanding the concept of our business. Our concept of business is a lot different than a concierge people on the street that you see, or a concierge company. We're a lot different than that. Our concept goes deeper than that. That's the reason why a lot of athletes and a lot of celebrities and people want, they get magnetized toward that direction.
You deal with football stars. You also deal with other athletes in other sports, and Orlando Norris is another that's been mentioned from the Formula One world.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted to ask, with the athletes you deal with, do you find that they want the same consistent things, or do you have to tailor things differently for everyone, for your clients?
Everyone is different character. This is what the challenge comes in. If it was everybody the same, it's an easy job. You hit a button, done, it's finished. With this type of job, everybody is a different character with a different attitude, different culture, different mentality. You're not dealing with a guy from America only. You're dealing a guy with the UK. You're dealing a guy with Spain, Italy, Germany, Africa, Nigeria. You're dealing guys Senegal. You're dealing guys with South Africa. You're dealing guys from every culture, Arab country, Saudi, this, that. So you really have to understand exactly the character of that individual in order to tailor it to them. You got to behave in a way. It's like you have to wear a different mask every time, because and you have to respect where they come from, who they are, and what they're all about. Some of them are Muslims, some of them are Christians, some of them are Jewish, some of them are this. So you have to be able to understand their culture, what their ideology is, what they're supposed to do. Some can drink, some can't drink, some can do this, but some can't do that, So you have to be able to understand all this. It itself is a different world, and you have to adapt every person and every person's character. And then you have to deliver. And when you deliver, it has to be spectacular and it has to be perfect. So then after that, it's a word of mouth, right? So they tell their friends, and their friends tell their family, and so on and so forth, and they come. And that's how it is.
So I'm a journalist. I work in the business of problem solving. That's what I tell everyone. What is the problem you're most proudest of solving with one of your clients?
Listen, I remember I had... this was a tough one, isn't it? So I remember you were saying when these guys get a chance, they just fly out. Yeah. So I remember there's three athletes. They flew out. I can't name names. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. Don't have to.
So they flew out from destination A to, I'll say Miami. Yeah. So that was the actual destination, but I won't tell you where they flew from. So, and they came and they had a good time. They had a couple of, they had, I think, 2 days off or something like that. And they came, they just kind of let it out. And then, I remember they had to catch a flight, and that flight, if they don't make that flight, they're going to miss training. So imagine the flight will land into their destination, I believe at 10 p.m. and their training is at 1 p.m. So they have to land and then drive to their training straight from the flight to go to training, Wow. And so how do you make this happen? How do you be able to get these guys from destination A to destination B without there's a conflict, without them getting in trouble, without pretty much under the radar, right? Let's say. Mm-hmm. And when we got to the airports, what happened? They arrived late.
Oh man!
So they will not. The luggage. What is it called? The luggage drop off is closed, so they will not take their luggage. They told them you can fly, but you can't take your luggage with you. So imagine I'm there, I'm sweating like a Dubai weather in the June time, to trying to get this happen for them. And I think this is where the respect comes in, right? When they see your effort and when they're trying to put something out there. I remember talking to the manager, begging him, please, these are superstars, let's do something. I will myself drag this luggage into the tarmac and I'll just put it in the plane. Let's make it happen, So this little guy just talking to these guys, and sometimes an airline, they can be really strict, and so in the end they weren't able to do it. So what I did was I told them, guys, don't worry, I will ship it to you, So I
Problem
remember
solving.
like I remember I was like, guys, just go, because the most important thing is not the luggage. Those
Yeah,
things you
yeah,
can
yeah.
replace and you can ship it. Can't get in trouble, you know. So I told them, get on the flight. I'll take. Only they had like they're just backpacks and they just left. So imagine I'm left with literally like I don't know 7, 8 big baggages with them, most expensive shoes, most expensive clothes. Like you know, the responsibility on me, it was just unreal, you know. So I had to figure it out, like how I'm gonna take this into like a post office, wrap it up, and then ship it. Like and like I'm just like standing there, like dumbfounded, like didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay, so I have to come up with an idea. I was alone. Remember, I was alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I said, my guy, you have to help me. Like, honestly, like, I don't know how to ship these things to where I'm going. He's like, okay. And I realized, I realized when I was checking into the hotel, they can actually, they have connection with the post office and they can ship things and stuff like that. I'm like, all right. So I got me like a big Uber van, and then I loaded everything, went to the hotel, paid everything out of my pocket, and
Wow.
shipped. Like, imagine. Yes, I know. And at the time I was broke, so so
American Express, here we go.
yeah, I was broke. So imagine, like, yes, I used my credit card, which later on got fees on it, but anyways, that's a that's a different story. So the only thing that mattered to me was just like making sure these guys were accommodated, got to the place they need to get to, you know, like you said, you know, thinking outside of the box, you know, and solving an issue that is, you know, that issue that can be a bigger deal, but just like, you know, kind of like dismissing that and dissipating those things and making it like, you know what, we can resolve this, you know. And I think that's one of the biggest like hectic thing. And I was beginning at the time, you know, so I was young. I like my mind is not as developed as now, you know. So doing that, thinking about it right now, just I think that was genius.
You can't buy experience. That's what you
It is
learn, right?
not. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah,
you've been so generous with your time, Johnny. I've got a few more questions, and then
no
we'll get
problem,
out of
no
this.
problem.
But
Yeah.
who was somebody you were like, I'll sort this guy out anytime, any place? I know you got some good clients, but who's maybe the most low maintenance or the easiest to work with?
I think I work with this guy a lot, and I think he's a easy guy. He's a chill guy. I mean, you can see, like, you can go on his Instagram, check him out. He's so calm and he's so chill, you know. I think it's DeAndre Yedlin.
Oh, the American International.
Yeah, exactly. I think he just signed to. He was in Istanbul. I think he just signed to now in Miami. So, and I mean, you know, I work with them a lot, you know, on the road, different places, different cultures, different countries. He's so educated, like he's so educated, so humble, a great guy, you know, and like he's an easy guy to take care of, you know, because not only you hang out with him as a client and as a friend, but you also like he educates you. Even though he's younger than me, but he educated me, you know, and a lot of, and he you know, he showed me a lot of things that I think that it opened my eyes. You know, the guy is brilliant. You know, he reads a lot of books. He's like, you know, he's like, if you really sit down and speak to him, he's a very like he's up there. He's smart, you know. And so like he was, I think, someone that's mellow, chill, calm. Like, you know, you can tell by his, like, just go look at his social feed, or like look at his story, you know. I mean, I wish he can write a book. Like, this guy's very educated, very smart guy. And his background, his like humble coming is amazing too, if you listen to it.
No, that's amazing to hear. And I'm interested in the growth side of the business. You're in the Middle East at the moment,
Yeah.
but you know, when are you starting your office in Cape Town, or are you thinking of maybe heading
Yes.
into a part of Asia? You know, there's like
Yeah,
beautiful locations
absolutely.
in Thailand or China or
Yeah,
Indonesia.
I'm a huge advocate of Africa. You know, I really I want to start something massive in Africa. But you know, the thing about it is that like you really need to know the culture. I know my culture. I
Hmm.
know my
Hmm.
home. but I don't know Africa as in a whole, and I really want to start something, especially now, like my brand is growing and like, we're expanding places to places, it becomes where now I want to bring tourism toward this direction. Like I'm talking about business tourism. I'm talking about like, even bringing these athletes to show Africa. Africa is one of the most rich country, that's just like low key. It's one of the most amazing continent, isn't it? So, and you want to be able to bring these guys, put them in a safari. I mean, that'd be so amazing. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, and not only that, but like come to like, okay, let's put the pinnacle. It's South Africa's, come on. It's South Africa is like,
Come on, make me feel good. Make me feel good.
It's the beacon of Africa, isn't it? Like, I mean, come on. I remember watching an Oprah show. She was in South Africa, like that was my first time actually seeing South Africa, how amazing it was, and like in the World Cup as well, like how they it's phenomenal, So, but the thing is, like, these people, like, they don't get that opportunity to see those things, You go to Zambia, you go to Mozambique, go to like Kenya, Ethiopia, go to Egypt, Morocco, you go to all these places. There's so much to show, there's so much to see, but you need people like me. And that's what I want to do to someone in Africa, kids in Africa, to look at these type of things, to seek to get into this type of business, to invite these type of people, work along with like company like mine, like, to show what you have, Africa is not always like, this side, it's also have a different side, where you can like, your imagination is can change, so
absolutely.
definitely,
Yeah. We have a World Cup coming up in Qatar. You're
Yeah.
based now in the Middle East in Dubai, and I think you said Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
What
Dubai.
opportunities does this year present for you guys?
I mean, absolutely. Listen, my job right now is to actually to be the ambassador of the North America fans for Qatar for the World Cup 2022. And why? Because a lot of Americans and North Americans, I'm talking about Canadians and Americans and South Americans and Mexicans and all these people don't really travel toward that direction, that region. Why? Maybe because it's far, maybe because there's a lot of scenarios, But what we want to do is like, we already know the region already. We already understand the culture. We already understand the pretty much the ideology behind it, We want to be able to be their secondhand, We want to help them. We want to show them, educate them. When they come there, they don't get in trouble. When they come there, they had a great time. They just enjoy themselves, And so we want to be the ambassador. That's what we're working on right now with the Qatar tourism, or like, which we were asking for a meeting with them right now, to do all this stuff. So where we want to work with the US, maybe Soccer Federation, and, engage with them and say, okay, you have someone that's from the state, their city, to help you, to guide you, whatever that you need, and entertainment wise and tourism wise and whatever that you need, So we want to be able to be the bridge between the Middle East and North America and South America, as well as Europe. Why not? And Africa, of course, So, and whoever comes and want to use our service, we're always going to be there to help everyone out.
Also, I think what people, and this was an eye-opener for me at the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa, because I covered that, North American fans travel to the World Cup. They travel in large numbers. They went to Russia, they went to Brazil, and even though America didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2018, I think they were amongst the top 5 fan groups that were going out, because sometimes North Americans get behind other teams like Mexico, right? Because there's a big Mexican population in the US. So North American fans do travel. This idea that they're not into football or soccer, as you might call it, Johnny, is true.
Soccer, yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, especially like the last World Cup, we were not qualified, right? So America was not qualified. I don't think Canada was qualified either.
No, Canada wasn't.
Exactly. So imagine these two big regions were not in it, but this time they will be in it, So, and imagine that fever, that football fever, that soccer fever is going to be hitting the home, especially when you come to such a beautiful place like Qatar, UAE, like those regions. It's going to be something that they never seen before, you know. So it's going to be, and the weather at the time of the World Cup is going to be
wonderful.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
good time to get a winter break.
Exactly. Just get away from the office for a little bit, right? So you have a reason.
well, listen, you've been so generous with your time. I just have two more questions. Yeah. I see on Instagram and in some of the videos that have been done for you, you're good friends with Bacary Sagna, the former French international. And
I just speaking to him before this interview. Yeah.
How is the dynamic between the two of you, and how have you guys partnered up with the business?
You know, Bacary, I met Bacary 2010 at the Arsenal Stadium. I was in a box seat, you know, I was there, and
look at you.
Yeah, he was, I know, right? So he was sitting there with his wife, but I had an opportunity to see him. I was like, oh my God, that's Bacary Sagna. So I went ahead and asked him for a picture. I actually have the picture. And then I was showing it to him recently, actually. So, and we met then, but we didn't really we met then, and, our friendship kind of slowly kind of grew from there. And I remember I was living in Benevento in Italy, it's like near Napoli, one of the players was playing there, and I was with him. And then Bacary came I think in the last 6 months or something like that. He came to stay there, or 3 months. I don't recall exactly the timing. And he was playing there, so we connected there from there, then slowly. And then we came to Dubai together. Now he moved to Dubai. He lives in Dubai. Man, this guy is incredible. I don't know if you ever had a chance to sit and talk to him. Humble, understanding, open-minded, character that you can't imagine, I work with them, and we talk deeply, from politics to sports to family to you name it. I never met such an individual that so charismatic, and you want to be around these type of people because you learn a lot from them, even though we're pretty much the same age as well. So I think we have that synergy. So yeah, it's incredible, man, incredible person.
You guys play football? Do you play in the same team? Are you doing five-a-side? Are you against each other?
We did. I don't know. Did you see that?
I saw it.
Okay, yeah. I do apologize. I look like a potato compared to him. But,
well, you were talking pretty big before, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? Time has changed, right? So I'm not growing upward. I'm going sideways. So it's a different thing for me.
and I'd imagine the relationship with you is so good, but he's come in and he helps maybe tailor some of the training programs that the players are on when they're on holidays. Or have I got them?
Listen, we have some stuff we want to do together, and he has some incredible thing coming up. I can't say to you, it's rather he comes from him. But he's working on some amazing project that actually helps young players, young individuals, and even any individual who's into athletic, and I think it's going to be phenomenal for him. But Bacary, he helps me so much in Dubai, not only in networking and different directions, but it's also as a mentor in a sense, teaching me and showing me in certain things that I'm not aware of, especially when it comes to when you're in this type of industry, you work with other players and individuals. Sometimes, you get naive, you don't see things, you make mistakes. As a young person, when I started, I made a lot of mistakes, by being with these guys. But now you learn, you correct those mistakes, then you grow from it, and people like him kind of shape you and kind of mold you to see the right things and take you to the right direction. So yeah.
My final question to you, and this has been fascinating hearing about your story, is to bring it back where it all began in Ethiopia. What is your message to any kid or person listening out there who wants a word of encouragement, of advice, almost like you were talking to your 10-year-old self? What would you tell that person?
It's a great question. Honestly, I know they say words are words, but I speak from experience. It's just not word. And that sometimes you might not get the opportunity that I got, you know, but you always have an opportunity around you to make a difference around you, you know. Just focus on what you do and what you love to do, you know. Don't chase something, you know, whether it's money or whether it's wealth, whether it's this and that, don't. Just find exactly what you are good at, you know, and then focus on that, and everything else will follow you. Trust me, it's a guarantee, it's a proven method. So that and that's how it works for me. I honestly, I know what I like and I know what I do, and I focus on that, and everything comes around it, you know. I don't focus on the money side of it. I don't focus on the fame side of it. I don't focus on the, you know, the party side of it. I don't focus on whatever it is that's around that business. I focus on exactly what I want to do, is satisfy the client, give the best service, and everything else will come with it together. It's a package, you know. It's an invisible package. So every I think every person in Africa, a kid, like, you know, who wants to do something, listen, sometimes we don't get the same opportunity, but we have an opportunity, you know. We're happy, we're healthy. So, and create something today, you know. You have the phone on your hand, gives you that world connection, you know. Whatever you have, put it on there. You never know who's going to watch it. People like me might watch it and say, whoa, man, I want to invest in that. Oh man, you know what, I want to go talk to this person. So just don't give up on things. Don't look at what you're what you're into right now. Look at what can happen when you put something in, like, you know, when you put your mind into something. So I hope this, like, you know, this message inspires them, and I hope they, you know, and I'm always here if they need anything, any questions, any answers, I'm here.
Johnny Vegas, Yohanes Zewdu, thank you for being so generous with your time and telling your story. It has been an absolute inspiration to listen to. And if you're listening out there and you want some advice, hit him up on social media. He's easy to find. What's your Instagram and Twitter handle?
It's very easy, guys. It's Johnny with the JOHNNY and the number 1 and Vegas, VEGAS. So Johnny1 Vegas. You can find me on social media, or Yohanes Zewdu if you can spell it. But I don't want to spell it, it's too long. So
it's a great name, but they can find you. They can ask you questions about luxury trips. They can ask you questions about advice. They can ask you about maybe starting an office in Nairobi or Cape Town. You know, who knows?
You never know. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you never know. Yeah.
And if you're out there listening to On the Whistle, we thank you for sitting around our bride today to joining us. And if you want to ask us any questions, if you want to share your thoughts on where Johnny could be going next, hit us up. OTW_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you've come this far in the podcast on YouTube or on Spotify or Acast or Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening, Apple Podcast, leave a rating, leave a review. It's the right thing to do. Johnny, thank you for joining us on the pod. We wish you well, and I can't wait to see you somewhere warm soon.
Zayn, thank you for having me. It's been an honor. And to your fans, thank you for having me as well. And I wish you guys all the best. Have a good night. Thank you.
All the best. Cheers.